Hi and welcome to another episode of Ask AJ. As you can see, I've got the lovely Phil's assistant. Phil's filling. Feel like Paul Daniels and Debbie McGee. She'll pull a rabbit out of a hat about now. No, so Phil is away again. This time he's in
Chicago.
He's watching the last ever concert for The Fray.
Will they be on
Sad
the
face.
plane? Will they be on? Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
he is, flew through Frankfurt. My poor Molly, who's about 105 weeks pregnant now. I don't even know how pregnant she is. She's I didn't know you could fly out pregnant. She is literally bursting. In fact, if she has the baby in Chicago, two passports.
Yeah.
Win-win. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to talk about today, which is about how sellers. YouTube, you stop talking, sorry, you're very distracting. Especially as you're right behind the camera, so I'm just telling off the audience we've got in this room. What was I just saying then? How the sellers feel when a buyer puts in an offer and what we need to do to help reassure them that the buyer is genuine, or maybe even not genuine. Maybe we need to just discuss that.
Yeah.
What our feelings are about the buyer, which is the best buyer to go with. They've got several offers, etc., etc. So imagine this: you've been on the market for a few months, you've had a little flurry of interest, you've got a few offers on the table, and you're saying to Lauren, "What do I do now? You know, what's the best offer?" They're not all exactly the same. They're not all from the same kind of people. So what's the best offer? So we had this week. We're not going to mention any names, by the way. Just
No.
okay. So we had a lovely client of ours who had more than one offer. Is that right? Or just one offer?
It was just the one offer for this one.
And he's been on the market for a little while, hasn't he?
Yeah, quite a long time. And he'd accepted a previous offer, another good offer. And then these buyers sort of within a week after we cancelled all the viewings, then withdrew the offer.
Which is one of the reasons why we don't cancel viewings usually.
Yeah. So then they completely backed out. So as you can imagine, the seller was pretty nervous from this point onwards, you know, quite wary of everyone that was coming to view and wanted to make sure that we knew that they were taking it seriously.
Because buyers say, I really love it, I really want it, they say all the right things, and sometimes it's not true. Or sometimes they just get cold feet.
Yeah.
We've had people literally ghost us as soon as they put the offer in and never speak to us again, and we cannot get hold of them no matter what.
No. So what happened was we did have another buyer put an offer forward, and obviously it was a good offer. So we put
Was it asking price or not?
It was asking price,
Oh, right,
yeah. But this home, it had been on for quite a long time. We didn't have that many more viewings booked in, and we thought, you know, this is a good offer. Sort of put it to the owner and said, you know, we advise that you would take it. And when they responded, it was sort of, it's not the price that's the issue. It was, we're so nervous that this buyer's going to pull out. They said it could be anyone, you know, no matter who it was, we're just nervous that this is going to happen to us again. So I reassured him. I said,
What do you want to know off you about this guy?
He wanted to know, well, firstly, sort of what they wanted to do with the home, just where they were from, what they did, just as much information as possible, so they could sort of paint a picture of who it is that's buying their home. And he also wanted to know that they were genuine in the sense that they put this offer forward, and then as it went through sales progression, they weren't going to keep chipping away at the price for every little thing, and they were just worried that something like that might happen.
So it's one of the reasons, isn't it, why we find out so much as much as we can about a buyer. So sometimes buyers feel like it's a bit intrusive, but it's what the sellers are going to ask us for. So if we go to a buyer and we say, well, what are you planning to do with the house, and who's going to live there, and how are you going to use it? These are reasons, these are things that we need to know so that we can go then and reassure the seller that you are actually a committed purchaser. Because if you say, I don't know what I'm going to do, you know, I don't know who's going to live there, I don't know if I'm ever going to use it, the seller's not going to take you seriously, and we've got to then pass that on.
Yeah.
So you've got to come across as a credible buyer.
So they're advantage really as well. Yeah, definitely.
I just bought a house for my son to live in to make sure he's not living on my sofa anymore. And the price I put in, the offer I put in, was not the highest offer. I don't think it was by much, but I think it was a few thousand. And I gave a whole picture of who I was, you know, who do you know who I am? No, not that kind of thing, but how we're going to use it. So I was going to use it with my son. He's a local person. It's almost impossible to find somewhere to rent around here. You know, he's part of the local community, he works locally, and it's really important to me that he has a good base to set up a family in the future, if anybody will ever take him. Sorry, Paddy, if you're watching. But he, the seller decided to sell to me and not to somebody who's going to turn it into a holiday home. Now, what's the reason why somebody would do that? Why would somebody refuse a few £1,000s to give it to a local as opposed to somebody who's going to use it for holiday cottage? What's your feeling about that? Would you do it? I'm not sure if I would.
I don't know, it depends how much money I need the money. But I think it is reassuring to some people. That's what they want it to go for. They want it to go to a family, or not necessarily as a holiday home or a holiday let. I think it just depends on the seller. So
I think if it goes as a holiday home, so this is a good point, isn't it? Really, that the person who wants it for a local, as a local, and has to get a mortgage on it, is going to jump through hoops to get it.
Yeah.
They've got to be committed, because if you've got to start paying for searches and everything, you're going to be committed, right? And, you know, applying for a mortgage. Whereas somebody who says, I think I'll have a holiday home, I'll have that one, and has got plenty of cash, they can change their mind like that. So I suppose that is a logical reason. But I think there is also an emotional reason. I think that sellers have to like buyers. It's really hard for them to negotiate. We had one last year before you started that said, they fell out over a bench, a garden bench. Like the owner wanted to take it, the buyer wanted to buy it. I said, I'll go down to B&Q and buy you a £100 bench, because they were falling out of it because they hadn't built that relationship. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I think that what they're trying to do, your sellers, your clients, is build a relationship with somebody that they can't actually talk to at the moment. And that's quite frustrating for them, isn't it? Is there ever a good time for the buyer and seller to talk? I don't know. What is it? Can you think of a reason why we wouldn't want the buyer and seller to talk to each other?
Just on a less professional level, if it comes to us, we can sort of mediate what can and can't be said, I guess, or happen.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when they went, I'm not leaving that sodding bench, you don't want that to be a conversation that's happening directly. You know, you want to go, would it be okay if they bought the bench? And we've had this situation before where this guy that was selling a piece of land locally, and it was only when we'd only just opened actually, so we were probably a bit green, and he was going, oh, it's fine, Sam, give him a number, I don't mind, I can answer any queries. And then he's going, what the hell did you give him the number for? He's badgering me all the time, all times, day and night, and he actually didn't go ahead and buy because they kind of broke the relationship. So we try and keep the relationship going and make it as positive as we can do, and as positive an experience as we can do for all three, you know, parties, including ourselves. So I think that, but this idea of the seller wanting to know everything about the buyer, hopefully that gives people an indication about why we ask you so many questions when you are putting in an offer, and we know how frustrating it is for you as a seller when those questions haven't been answered. So that's why we try our best to put, you know, to create the best relationship, don't we?
Yeah, we do, definitely.
And it's important. So how do your sellers feel now that you've hopefully reassured them?
Yeah, well, what I did is I said, you know, I'll have a chat with the buyer, just get the information. And so I rang the buyer, and he was lovely. He was just like, oh my gosh, like, no, we absolutely adore this home. Please, can you reassure him? Like, you know, we're gonna like do everything we can. This is just basically just went over and over how much they love the home. They wouldn't be chipping away at the price. They were 100%. They wouldn't withdraw, and they were just so lovely and reassuring. They're like, we'd love to meet them as soon as possible, you know. Yeah, just great. So I went sort of back to the seller with this, and I said, look, they are a lovely couple. They want me to reassure you that that's not going to happen, and they respect you for asking the question, to be fair, because he said likewise for them, you know, they don't want to be sort of gazumped and then him accept someone else's offer, which he said, you know, no, I'll be sticking with you. So it was like quite nice that they both had this understanding that they were going to be like fair to each other.
Yeah, because of British law, people can pull out at any point. Yeah. I'm about to exchange contracts on this house. I can pull out now if I wanted to. It's awful, isn't it? Yeah. And then that poor seller is so much further down the line, and they have to start all over again. I'm not going to pull out while if you're watching. I'm buying that house. He is getting off my sofa. What do you think about, and you might not have an opinion about this, I've thrown this at you, about a buyer writing a letter to the seller that we could then pass on? I don't mean like, please sell us your house, but these are all our circumstances, this is who we are, this is a picture of us maybe, just so the seller can feel a bit more reassured, especially if you've had failed sales in the past.
I think that'd be a nice touch. I do. I think as soon as you get a face to a name, it makes it so much more personal and just nicer. Whereas at the moment, they're a name on a piece of paper with a few facts about them and what we've told them. So I think that'd be quite nice.
Just don't want to put the contact details on it.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, write us a letter and we'll send it on, or write us an email and we'll pass it on. That's quite a nice thing to do.
That's actually what the through after this conversation that I'd had with the buyer and seller from the home we were just on about. He actually sent an email and he added a paragraph in for us to send direct to the seller, just sort of to reassure them, because you can't let them speak. But he was like, I want you to pass on this exact this exact words. So
because it's a bit frustrating for the buyer as well, isn't it? Because they're desperate to get this house, but how do you let somebody know that you're desperate without being desperate?
Yeah.
And especially if there's more than one bids involved, and we've had a few recently. And poor Lauren was in a situation where she'd had many conversations with these lovely, lovely buyers that were trying to buy a house, offers, and then Edward had a conversation with some other lovely buyers, and between Lauren and Edward, they'd put these offers forward, and they were both rooting for their own offers, which is, I understand, and they were both the same offer, weren't they?
Yeah.
So you go, no, my buyer's better, and Edward's go, no, my buyer's better. So we do get really emotionally involved about that, but I think that's important. It's an important part of the process because we're all people and we're all, emotional beings. You can't not. No tears today, but there was a happy ending at the end of it. And by the way, I didn't introduce her properly. This is Lauren. So Lauren is going to be working in our super new Dales office. We have got the office there, we just haven't got any furniture or people in it at the moment. But
We've got desks. Me and Edward built the desks, so they're there.
Fantastic. I know you did that. Amazing. So if you want to know who Lauren is, she'll either be here or there. And if you know anybody, in fact, who do you know who's got a house that they're thinking about selling over in the Yorkshire Dales, because Lauren would like some nice new houses to sell.
Yes,
You've got quite a few, haven't you?
We've got 8 coming on, so that's exciting.
It's really exciting, yeah.
And likewise, if anyone's wanting a house in the Dales area, we can
show you some lovely houses. Go and see an amazing house this week in Neck as well, aren't we? Excited about that. Next week. Next week, beautiful barn conversion. So excited about that too. So yeah, get in touch with us here, Ashdown Jones, 01539488111, or send Lauren personally an email, Lauren@ashdownjones.co.uk, and we'll hopefully see you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.